Hi everyone, I just want to demo really quickly the WinF shortcut to switch keyboard focus with CyberFinger between desktop view in Resonite and keyboard input. This is important because CyberFinger, I think, is an important step towards making keyboards first-class citizens within your social VR experience, which is important for work, for science, and for other more enterprise use cases. So let's have a look. I want to be able to type in Resonite. Okay. Wow, the keyboard is not working. Well, that's because the keyboard currently I have focus at the desktop. That is my browser window. So here I can type happily away. I would like to search for CyberFinger. Beautiful, that's gonna come up. CyberFinger, Cyberpunk Wiki. Oh, and we're the second view on here. So we can use our CyberFinger to interact with the desktop beautifully. Both with keyboard, with mouse on the wrist. Okay, we can interact with the mouse on the wrist. But also, if we're at the desktop, we can use our mouse to move between different screens. Okay, but now I want to enter something in Resonite. What do I do? Uh-oh, the arrow keys don't work. That's where the WinF shortcut is super useful. When I hit WinF now, which I show in the docs how to define it, now the keyboard focus has gone into Resonite. If I go back to the web browser here and I open a new tab and I try to search and I try and type in, oh, that's interesting. How is it that the focus went back? And I come back here and I edit here. Do I have focus now? Here I don't have focus. Okay. If I hit WinF, now I come back here and this place has the keyboard focus. And now I can merrily type away. So this is how it goes with CyberFinger and CyberFinger. Beautiful. So we can manipulate text and notice CyberFinger mod disables the virtual keyboard from coming up by default. That's something you can actually configure. If that's a behavior you don't like, you can go into the mods settings and go to CyberFinger mod and uncheck this setting right here. Don't show the virtual keyboard. By default, we are not showing the virtual keyboard because this is the behavior that I prefer. But if you're a different person and want that virtual keyboard, you can come and tick this box. Or, for example, for a particular use case, temporarily you'd like it to show up, you can come and click this and it will adjust at runtime. So let's try that. If we untick, oops, that was the forced laser override. As you can see, now my lasers go wonky. That one I highly recommend that you leave checked. Whoops, let's check that again. Beautiful. Now the lasers are to where I define them to be. Okay, let's grow this a little bit. We do have to reduce some of that laser noise. We're going to deal with that in an upcoming release. Okay, we've unchecked that. Now when I go to over here to edit this text box, the virtual keyboard is going to come up. But of course, if you're using a real keyboard, that's pretty irritating. So let's keep that. That's why it's turned off by default. So when we close this, go away please. Laser noise. Gotta do something about that. Now the keyboard does not come up, but I could still type with my real keyboard that's sitting on my waist. Using a keyboard mounting kit that we offer at the Psychodex website, or your own jerry-rig solution. I really recommend split keyboards like the Glove 80 from Moergo for this purpose. And I can maybe provide another video in the future about the setup that I found works pretty well. So as you can see, with the WinF shortcut, we can fluidly go between working on the desktop with a perfect keyboard. Actually, it seems to me that when I go back to my keyboard, the focus automatically shifts. And actually the WinF is really only needed to bring the focus back into Resonite when we'd like to do keyboard input in Resonite. So as you can see, let's do that again. When I click back to the desktop view, I can right away type. The desktop view has grabbed the input. Notice also, really important, if you didn't follow the instructions and disable Steam input, you may here lose focus of the gamepad to Resonite. As you can see here, that's not the case. I'm using the CyberFinger perfectly to interact still with the UI, and that's because I've disabled Steam input. And also, if you go to the settings, and important settings for this, under controls, use gamepad when unfocused. Make sure that's checked. So that's allowing that whether I've got the focus of mouse and keyboard on my desktop, and I'm happily working within the desktop view. Oops, let's move the mouse over to the second screen. I'm happily working with my mouse and keyboard here. So let's go search Google for, well, if we go to cycortex.com, we're easily able to go and interact even with our CyberFingers to browse the web. Okay, can interact perfectly with the desktop. We can go and type in. So I've clicked there with my hand and I can type in. So now, as we can see, there's a nice fluidity that comes between interacting naturally with my hands and the CyberFinger onto the desktop surface. I can interact. I can, I believe I can even drag and scroll. Yes, as I grab, I can scroll down just by grabbing, just by using the first interaction button and holding. I can scroll, and I could come back to, when I come back to Resonite, whoops, my keyboard doesn't work. That's where the WinF shortcut that I describe in the documentation, it's defined by an Auto Hotkeys version 2 script. If I just type, I recommend to define it to be mapped to System F. I just tap System F, and now the keyboard focus has been granted to Resonite. And of course, it's good to maintain this conceptual separation between this is the virtual world, this is all living in MeetSpace. Okay, so if we want to get back to your desktop, back to MeetSpace, we just snap WinF, and we can go back to keyboard entry within this world, as you can see. So here I'm typing the arrow keys to go back and forth. I can type additional stuff. Beautiful. That's how I recommend, and that's sort of the setup that is possible with CyberFinger and CyberFinger mod. And then in addition, with all of these settings as I described, make sure you set up that the gamepad maintains focus under the settings. And make sure you install that Auto Hotkeys, and make sure you've disabled Steam input for Resonite for your gamepad. Also, I'm running under Steam Link. That's my recommendation. My experience with Virtual Desktop, although I love Virtual Desktop, with hand tracking and getting the system to work, I was not able to get it to work well, at least last time I tried with Virtual Desktop. Hopefully that's going to change in the future, because I'd really love Virtual Desktop. Thanks for watching. Hope this was informative and useful for you and helps you to optimize your own CyberFinger setup.